In this video, we're going to draw a Lewis structure involving a molecule which has more than one central atom. So the first thing we have to do is take into account how many electrons we have. And so we make our column of has and once. And then we list out, we have a carbon atom, we've got hydrogen atoms, we've got a chlorine atom, and it's not an ion, so those extra electrons we don't have to worry about because there aren't any there. Carbon has 4, once 8. Hydrogen, if you recall, doesn't obey the octet rule. Hydrogen only has 1 electron and at most can handle 2. Chlorine has 7 electrons and once 8. Well, let's go through and multiply everything here by the number of atoms. So, let's see here. So I'm going to make a new column over here. So total carbons contribute 8 out of 16, and that's just by multiplying this one by 2 and this one by 2, because we've got 2 carbons. We've got 5 hydrogens. So this guy by 5, and this guy by 5, and then 7 and 8 again. And let's see what we get here. We should have 34 total electrons doing the job of 20. So 34 minus 20. Well, that gives us a 14 electrons. And it takes 2 electrons per bond, so we need 7 bonds. Now, just like we've done before, we always use our least electronegative element first as the central atom. In this case, that's going to be carbon. So we're going to start with a carbon. We're going to surround it with some hydrogens. 1, 2, 3. And then we could put a hydrogen there, but then we wouldn't be able to complete the molecule. So we're going to put our second carbon right there. And then continue on. Hydrogen, hydrogen, and finally chlorine. So let's see here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 bonds. So that's looking good. I'll just take out those circles here. Now, out of my 14 electrons involved in bonding, I've still got 6 left. Well, that just so happens to fill out the lone pair on the most electronegative element, which is chlorine. Now we need to go through and check formal charges. Well, formal charge on a hydrogen. Let's see. Hydrogen has 1 valence electron, and it forms 1 bond, has no electrons on it, so the hydrogens all have a formal charge of 0. This is looking good. Let's move on to chlorine. Chlorine normally has 7 valence electrons. It's got 1 bond. It's got 6 remaining electrons, so it has a formal charge of 0. Finally, we've got carbon, which normally has 4 electrons. And in this case, each carbon has 4 bonds with no remaining electrons, so it has a formal charge of 0. So we've got a Lewis structure here which is satisfied. All the atoms have no formal charge.